Why did you put that weapon together so quickly? You told me to, Drill Sergeant. And answer every question with, yes, Drill Sergeant.
Yes!
Yes, Drill Sergeant!
Yes, Drill Sergeant!
Oh, wait. My favorite one. I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
Oh man, so many.
I know,
right?
that's very heartwarming, right?
Have you found Jesus yet, Gump? I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for him, sir.
Lieutenant Dan, ice cream.
Ice cream, Lieutenant Dan. Wilson, oh my God, Wilson, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Wilson. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so obviously we're making fun of Tom Hanks here.
I'm sorry, Wilson! Wilson, I'm sorry! I'm sorry!
We want to welcome you to our review of Finch, starring Tom Hanks, of course. And we also have a bonus for you coming up after our review.
That's right.
We are counting down our top 5 favorite Tom Hanks performances of all time.
Which was really hard to do because he has like easily 15 movies.
Very
that are
difficult,
awesome.
but we have our list, so stick around.
Masterpiece. I mean, I'm gonna give it 5 reels for sure. What?
Welcome back to the Real Screeners. We are excited to present our countdown of our top favorite Tom Hanks performances of all time.
Of all time.
But before we get to our list, we want to give you our quick real take on Finch, the latest film to feature Tom Hanks, released on Apple TV, also in theaters. This is very much a one-man show because Tom Hanks carries this movie, pretty much the entire time,
right.
Much like he does in Castaway, which is something that immediately came to mind when I saw Finch. And so to get into the synopsis of the movie, basically, this is a post-apocalyptic story. Apparently, solar flares have caused the Earth to, go into ozone layer depletion,
right.
And it has caused,
it's a radiation frenzy.
And of course, Tom Hanks's character Finch is feeling the effects of this. He's paying for it, of course. And the movie basically focuses on his survival story along with his dog, Goodyear. And he is inventing this robot, this AI robot, whom he hopes will come to life and
take care of his dog. And the robot
take care of his
Jeff.
dog. Of course, once he, unfortunately passes because that's where this is all leading to. Initial thoughts about this movie: this felt like a very heartwarming, very good-natured, very easy breezy, if you will, post-apocalyptic story, which is kind of refreshing in my mind because a lot of post-apocalyptic stories, definitely, are very, stressful and full of tension and so on and so forth. This movie is not devoid of that, though. I mean, there are some good moments.
There are a couple
of thrills,
moments, but that's not really what the movie's about.
There are. It's not.
Yeah, and so the movie's really about him trying to nurture this robot and humanize the robot, and which I thought was interesting, right? Because they don't really go into the details of how this guy has, this robot has an AI that can evolve and adapt to situations where he has human emotions, blah, blah, blah.
Those are the better moments, I feel. The moments where you actually have Tom Hanks teaching the robot about humanity and what it means to be human. And I think that this is a story that focuses mainly on that, right?
Yeah, that's, like I said, that's really what it's about. And it's heartwarming. It has themes of hope and trust for sure. Other than that, I kind of felt it was a boring movie, to be honest. I don't want to take away from Tom Hanks' performances or the voice actor for the robot at all.
It's a little slow paced. I don't think I was ever...
you are being kind.
Well, I don't think I was ever terribly bored. There are movies where I'm definitely more terribly bored, like Eternals. Oh. But anyway, for me, Tom Hanks saves the day. His performance really is wow. I think he carries this movie. Once again, he can do that. I also thought this is a good holiday movie, an apocalyptic story that could be for the entire family. So, if you have, kids, I think that this is a movie that the entire family can for sure sit and enjoy. It's also an interesting road movie, and it felt like a road buddy film to me at times. I think that it has some nice redeeming qualities in there for sure.
Okay, I'm not really going to add too much more to that. I think you hit the high points. Really, they do a really good job of what's called visual storytelling, where they show a lot in the exposition versus telling you, and so that's another strength of the movie. But other than that, like I said, heartwarming but kind of boring for me. My real rating for this is 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, as far as enjoyment factor, I mean, obviously it's a good piece of work. I'm not going to lie, but enjoyment for me, long, drawn out, kind of boring. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go a little bit higher with my rating here. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 reels. The movie looks really good. Like, as far as the cinematography, the special effects, that robot looked really convincing. I felt like I was actually in that world. There was nothing that took me out of it.
I'm very excited about our top 5 Tom Hanks movies.
Tom Hanks movies.
Because Finch wouldn't even make it into my top 20 or
this
even 30.
This is really hard, by the way. Because, there are so many great performances by Hanks.
So many, man.
He's been around since the 80s, of course. And so,
the show Bosom Buddies, SNL, of course, all that stuff.
You want to start with your number 5 then?
Yes. So my number 5 is a movie that might not be considered one of his best movies, but it's a movie that effectively launched his movie career. It's 1984's Splash, alongside Daryl Hannah, and I thought they had really good chemistry. He, obviously started off his career as a comedian, but in this one, you start to see him being able to develop a range, and this is the first time you really get to see it, right? And he goes from, there are times where he's a jerk, there's times where he's compassionate, and overall just a fun romp, I thought, and heartwarming as well.
Yeah, and you really start to see him kind of like coming in and out of his comedic routines, and he's a brilliant comedic actor, but it also mixes well with his serious acting, so that's a good choice. My number 5, I chose his role as Paul Edgecombe in The Green Mile. Playing an everyday man. What I love about this role is that it's not flashy at all, except when he pees. He's trying so hard to pee. Like, I was like, man, that is convincing right there. But otherwise, I think it's a very subdued, very everyday man performance. He plays a leader, so he has to, of course, be in control of his emotions. But I thought that one of the most unreactive performances, but still a performance that really carries that entire almost 3-hour-long film, and is a nice compliment to Michael Clark Duncan's performance.
John Coffey.
Yes, in the movie. So really enjoyed that.
All right, so moving on to my number 4 is a movie I'm sure both of us have on the list, and deservedly so, because it's considered by some people to be his best performance ever. Not for me. It's my number 4. It's 1998's Saving Private Ryan. Tom Hanks has to play yet another role where he's trying to relate this worn down soldier, this morose performance, and I think that really portrayed the travesties of war and what it can really do to a man. He loses hope, but then he has to maintain hope, and it's very convincing. I mean, you can say that with all of his performances.
Yeah, he plays Captain Miller in the film, and what I really like, so this movie is on my list, but it's higher up, but what I really like about his performance here is that he is, again, a leader and always on the verge of a breakdown. You can see his hand shaking, and like it's again a physical performance, very much so. Yeah. But he holds his shit together. Like he is always struggling to maintain composure, and that is the performance. That is the acting that is so good in that movie that I love.
I could see why some people consider it his finest.
He's about to reach that boiling point, but he keeps it together.
That's right. He's got to.
So anyway, okay.
All right, so go ahead.
With
your number 4?
My number 4 is his performance as Chuck Noland in Castaway.
I don't know. I thought you were going to say Chuck Norris. Is like, what movie is that?
Chuck Noland in Castaway. No one could ever convince you to, feel so much pathos for that volleyball other than Tom Hanks, and that scene where he has to take out his tooth and chip it out, and
I feel like you've read my notes.
So many scenes in that movie where he's completely vulnerable and transformative, and He captures desperation and isolation so brilliantly. I can go on and on, but anyway.
No, yeah,
It's a one-man show.
That's basically everything I have written
He
down.
should have won the Oscar, but he did not.
Do you happen to remember who
I
won it over him?
believe that it was Russell Crowe in Gladiator.
Oh, that's
I may be
right.
wrong about that.
I think you're right.
I think I'm right, but
If not, you're only 1 year off.
it's tough. But anyway, that's my number 4.
No, yeah. That's a perfect segue because that's my number 3, guys.
Oh,
is
good.
Castaway from 2000, and I had started off by saying that it made you believe a man could love a volleyball. It really brought out that solitude and desolation and that feeling of like I'm alone and my mind is going to compensate and create something to give me hope, to keep my sanity, even though he was practically borderline crazy, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned the one-man show and how you have to carry that performance. The toothache, of course, and this goes back to something you said earlier. Watching that movie, no one in Hollywood shakes their hand as convincingly as Tom Hanks in his movies.
Oh,
Saving
yeah.
Private Ryan, Castaway, And then lastly, you talk about a transformative performance. He obviously also had to do a physical transformation. In that scene where he says, "I have made fire." He's kind of chubby-ish.
Yeah.
And then when it switches, when he has that beard, he's gaunt.
Yep.
And they had interviewed him and they asked him, "How did you do that?" And he's like, "Well, I ate a lot of coconuts.
I'm a committed performer.
And I ate a lot of coconuts.
I'm a method actor.
You know what that does to you, right?" So there you go. My number 3.
Okay.
What's yours?
Very nice. My number 3 is, I want to say 1988's Big.
Okay.
One of my favorite movies of all time. This is such a feel-good movie. And to watch Tom Hanks embody a 12-year-old boy while navigating through adulthood, and it's showing you how much of a struggle and an ordeal that can be for boys to have to grow up into manhood and everything that entails, But watching Tom Hanks act, as a kid and reconciling, what it takes to be an adult is so much fun. And there are so many classic scenes like, the whole chopstick, is it?
Yes, chopsticks.
Chopstick scene and but a great performance all around.
Man, I'm not even joking. You are looking at my notes. I'm just kidding. No, really. That's
Josh Baskin.
That's my number 2. Since we're moving on, that's my number 2 is Big from 1988. Again, the first thing I put on here was I haven't seen anyone channel their inner child like Tom Hanks did in that movie. You have movies like 13 Going on 30 or Freaky Friday. Those are okay, but Tom Hanks, man, a natural child while also having to balance out trying to be an adult and navigate a romantic-ish type relationship,
right? While still maintaining like his friendships, his childhood friendships. It's such an endearing movie, such a classic. Again, a movie for the entire family. I love that movie.
Yeah, you mentioned the chopsticks. That piano is called a walking piano.
Yeah,
that's an iconic scene. I would say 2 scenes that stand out in that movie are the walking piano and, of course, the Zoltar, which granted him his permission, or his wish to be big.
Yes.
So anyway,
classic. That was your number 2. You said.
That's my number 2, man.
Okay, so my number 2 quickly goes back to, I think, your number 4 maybe, which was Saving Private Ryan. Yeah. So Saving Private Ryan. Again, I think I said everything that I wanted to. I really have nothing else to add. I think that he is again capturing that leader that has to carry so much responsibility and carry the weight of his platoon. I don't want to repeat what I said, so we can move on to our number 1 flicks.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, number 1 flick.
Flicks. Okay.
1.
Yeah, okay. So obviously, I think you guys pretty much can guess what our number 1 is, and for me, it is my all-time favorite movie. It's a movie I can quote more than any movie, even Predator, which is impressive because I can quote Predator pretty well there. But obviously, we're talking about the multi-Oscar winning 1994 performance.
Robert Zemeckis.
Yes, of Forrest Gump, which beat out The Shawshank Redemption, much to his chagrin that year for the Academy Award for Best Picture.
I mean, those two are such giants.
What I liked about this movie was obviously there's a lot technically to like about it story-wise, right? We're not going to talk about that. But as far as his performance, he really had to adopt a completely different mindset. I mean, you've seen that in other movies like Philadelphia, for example, right? A different type of persona. But this is someone who is supposed to be mentally challenged. right? He has a disability, and someone who's got a thick country accent.
Yeah.
So that right there is highly impressive. You know, you talk about his range. We always talk about Tom Hanks's range, and he goes from his excitement to being almost in tears, right? Excitement, for example, when he sees Jenny at the Washington Memorial. Jenny! Right? And then you have Forrest! Yeah, and then you have a scene where
You're my girl.
he's almost in tears, and his face, his expression tells the shock and surprise he feels when he realizes that the boy in front of him has got a daddy named Forrest too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love just the way that this character is so innocent, and the way that he embodies the innocence of this character amidst all this catastrophe and chaos that's happening around him. All of these historical events that are the backdrop of him going through life like a feather, much like that metaphor that's established from the beginning
Right.
of the movie and at the end. And it's again a transformative performance. He becomes this other person.
Yeah, his comedic timing is perfect. You know, in scenes where it's supposed to be funny for the audience, he's obviously not trying to play around. He's being genuine and innocent with this character, but yet it's funny.
Yes.
You know, that little juxtaposition
Shrimp
is
stew,
perfect.
shrimp and potatoes.
Oh, and lastly,
shrimp salad.
added another layer of complexity here is that he did a lot of running in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had to work on his technique. He had to run a lot.
Oh, I wrote that down in my notes too. Like, even
that's not easy either.
Even the way that he walked throughout the movie is very much Forrest Gump. You know,
Yeah, he's 37 years old having to pull that off.
Amazing. Second Oscar, by the way, 1994. First one was Philadelphia in 1993. And there are many other movies that I wish I could have added to this list, such as A League of Their Own, because he's hilarious.
Yes.
Philadelphia, of course, because he plays such a troubled soul, you know, and a great performance
Birds.
alongside Denzel Washington. Road to Perdition, Cloud Atlas, where he plays 6 different characters. I can go on and on and on, but that's too much.
Yeah,
We
I
must
know.
finish.
We'll be talking for like another 10 minutes, guys.
Yes.
But yeah, that's our top 5 Tom Hanks movies, guys.
We would love to hear your thoughts on Tom Hanks and Finch, so leave a comment down below, please. And also, don't forget to look us up on social media. We're on TikTok and Facebook at Real Screeners, Instagram real.screeners.
And if you guys like this video and other videos that we have, guys, make sure to subscribe. The algorithm loves it when you hit that like button. And of course, guys, we ask you to hit that bell notification so you know every time we upload a video. And lastly, I do want to plug our website. It's realscreeners.com, guys. We have some awesome original mashup, movie mashup, video game mashup shirts, guys. Go there. You'll have a discount at checkout. You will not regret the shirt you buy. You told me to, Drill Sergeant. And answer every question with
Yes, Drill Sergeant!
yes, Drill Sergeant. Yes, Drill Sergeant! Gump! What did you put there? Oh, let me try it again.